So Rings of Power is still going. I wouldn't say strong, but it's going. And people have opinions about it. Some of which Amazon does not agree with, and they made it quite clear that they will silence you if they don't agree with what you're saying. By the way, Amazon does own IMDb, so that's why you see some reviews disappearing. And Amazon can, make their own reviews disappear. And Rotten Tomatoes, we have seen in the past, is kind of bought and paid for by the studio system because the same thing happens there. And shows, movies get positively review bombed a lot of times, even though the articles come out saying it's getting negatively review bombed. They'll say review bombed, and they'll only mean negatively. When if you look at it, you'll see like thousands of 5-star reviews with just like one sentence ratings or whatever responses. And then you have articles like this come out that just conflates any critics with haters. Basically, they'll just call them, names like this: patently evil. Explain yourself. What do you mean by calling these people all patently evil? Prime Video, Amazon Studios, and Lord of the Rings of Power showrunners participated in one of the most obvious damage control pieces in the history of media by doubling down on their offensive and vile rhetoric by calling critics of the show patently evil. So let's get into this. What initiated this? Yeah, instead of working with Vanity Fair as they did in February, when they initially attacked Tolkien fans, calling them racist, we saw that just because, you know, this world never actually had people of different colors, except for in the human race, the race of men. This time, Prime Video and Amazon worked with the Hollywood Reporter. Sometimes the Hollywood Reporter will come out with articles that are more like uh, objective, you know, and not so much attacking people, but I guess it depends on the writer. Yeah, they describe Tolkien fans as trolls. They wrote, when Amazon released photos of its multicultural cast, even without character names or plot details, the studio endured a reflexive attack from trolls, the anonymous online kind. No, it was, I think it was a response to your obvious virtue signaling that always goes on in these properties that you usurp to just like, stick your own politics into it. Like, try to say, oh, this is the first black dwarf, you know, dwarf woman, which uh isn't really true. Like you've seen black dwarves in other things like Dungeons and Dragons. You've seen dwarf women even in the Hobbit movies. So this isn't the first anything. It's just their way of trying to, clickbait people. Try to get traction by trying to, claim to be like something revolutionary. You see this a lot in movies and TV shows nowadays. It's like, oh, this is the first person of color to lead a movie in 2 months. It's like there's no like ground being broken at this point. The two then cited the Equality and Diversity Officer for the University of Glasgow Center for Fantasy and the fantastic Mariana Rios Maldonado. Okay. Maldonado is a radical political activist who is interested in ethics, feminist theory, and encountering the other in Tolkien. But Vanity Fair painted her as a Tolkien scholar to attack fans. Yeah, this is not a Tolkien scholar. This is someone who purports to be one when she only really wants to change all of Tolkien's work to fit her narrative because she deems it like inappropriate or just not, up to her standards. It's like there's a reason why people love this property, why they've been going back to this over and over again for decades. This is one of the oldest fantasy properties. He was basically the grandfather of modern day fantasy. Maldonado did what Prime Video and Vanity Fair wanted. She disparaged fans, telling them, obviously there was going to be push and backlash. But the question is, from whom? Who are these people that feel so threatened or disgusted by the idea that an elf is black or Latino or Asian? By the way, there's no Latino or Asian elves in here, and I'm wondering now, like, why didn't you put some of those in there? If that's what you feel is so important. It's like it's obvious they wanted to do this to deflect any criticism, just like we saw with the Star Wars show Kenobi. Like they had this actress in there that plays this character named Reva. She's somebody hunting down Jedi, and she goes on this character arc. I say that loosely because we see her being evil most of the time, and by the end, she just all of a sudden flips back to being good. Just decides not to kill Luke. So, but the character was so poorly written that people just did not latch on to her, like Lucasfilm wanted. And so they tried to blame the fans for being, accuse them of being racist because they didn't like this character. When it's like, no, we've always liked Lando. Like you always seem to forget about him. Like he's a fan favorite fucking character. Uh, but yeah, this is the narrative they always try to push, that the fans are just racist if they don't like something, or misogynistic, all that stuff. Since then, Prime Video has deployed numerous media tactics to attack Tolkien fans. They used Elijah Woods, Sean Astin, Dominic Monaghan, and Billy Boyd as props to denounce fans criticizing the show. Yeah, they had them all wear T-shirts. I saw this. Well, I don't see Sean Astin there, but yeah, saw that. See, they got all the different colors of the ears, and it's very, I don't know, it's very corporate. This kind of stuff. Aston had he had a hat on. It's like no one ever said you weren't welcome in the fandom. You don't have to see yourself on screen to feel represented. Like, like that's stupid. It seems like they try to say that's the only way you can identify with a character is if you look exactly like them, which is not the case. Then, if that were true, then nobody would latch on to the Ninja Turtles. No one would latch on to characters like E.T. Nobody fucking looks like them. Most notably, the official Twitter account for the Rings of Power issued a statement accusing fans of racism using the same "You are all welcome here" slogan. We, the cast of Rings of Power, stand together in absolute solidarity and against the relentless racism, threats, harassment, and abuse some of our castmates of color are being subjected to on a daily basis. We refuse to ignore it or tolerate it. If this is really happening, then show the receipts. I have not seen any direct messages to any of the cast members. They're not showing any receipts. If you're gonna make accusations like that, then you need to show evidence. J.R.R. Tolkien created a world which, by definition, is multicultural, the statement continued. A world in which free peoples from different races and cultures join together in fellowship to defeat the forces of evil. Rings of Power reflects that. Our world has never been all white. Middle Earth is not all white. BIPOC belong in Middle Earth and they are here to stay. I still don't know what that means. It's like, you know what? I don't care. Gonna move on. Finally, all our love and fellowship go out to the fans supporting us, especially fans of color, who are themselves being attacked simply for existing in this fandom, added the series production team. We see you, your bravery and endless creativity. Your cosplays, fan cams, fan art, and insights make this community a richer place and remind us of our purpose. And your purpose is to subvert Tolkien, obviously. You are valid, you are loved, and you belong, they concluded. You are an integral part of the Lord of the Rings family. Thanks for having our backs, Namari. Yeah, I watched like 4 episodes of this show and quit. It's just very poorly written, poorly acted, and the CG, it does not look like they spent as much as they're purporting to spend on this show. Somebody's taking this shit home with them. Some of this money. There have been numerous other stunts employees accusing the fans of being racist, none of it anywhere near the truth, and most of it a deflection from the poor product that Prime Video was advertising and has thus far delivered. Yeah, they know they have a shit project, you know, and so they gotta come up with some excuse as to why people are criticizing it. Like, it's gotta be, man, it's gotta be a bunch of racists that just hate this show just because it's got black people in it. It's like, no, man, your show just fucking sucks, and it's nothing like the books. Like, you could have at least taken the appendices, which is all they have the rights to, and made something cool out of it, something interesting. You could have done just the fall of Numenor, just focused on that in maybe one season, and then maybe later do the rings, the forging of the rings. You could do the separately. You can do the rise of Sauron, or no, you could do the rise of Sauron and then the forging of the rings because that leads into that. But also you have the War of the Last Alliance, which comes later. You could have done all these separately, but you decided instead to cram all of them into the same show because you you for real you just wanted that Game of Thrones feel, like with all these different storylines going on at the same time. It's like you didn't have to do that. Jeff Bezos just wanted his own Game of Thrones, basically. But I think they rushed it, and I think they focused too much on the politics, the modern day politics, and getting cheap labor too, because the writers had like no experience. They couldn't even get a credit on that Star Trek Beyond movie, and Lindsay Weber, who's a disciple of Jar Jar Abrams, was also behind this. So yeah, JJ Jar Jar Abrams got these people this job. he's uh he's on the way to destroying another property. We saw it with Star Trek, saw it with Star Wars. Now Tolkien. See, as the article writer is going to point out, it's a product that is far from anything Tolkien wrote about the Second Age and Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, and the history of Middle Earth. Not to mention the showrunners also admitted they did not have the legal rights to use those books. So, what was the point of making this show if you have only the rights to the appendices, and you can't even I don't think they can even use Gandalf's name. But he doesn't come. He's not supposed to come in until the Third Age anyway. But see, they have characters that they could use that they're not using, like Celeborn and Celebrian. Celeborn is Galadriel's husband. Celebrian is her daughter. And it's not until I've heard in the 7th episode, the one that just came out, it's not until that one that they actually mention Celeborn, and she thinks he's dead. So I'm thinking, okay, this is stupid because they were together most of their lives except for like when they briefly parted ways, but they knew where they were going, like they knew where each other was. Yeah, JD Payne, that's one of the writers, has taken the attacks on fans to the next level. And this, oh, by the way, there's like 24 executive producers on this show. It's something like that. It's something crazy like that. Payne tells them the spirit of Tolkien is about disparate people who don't trust one another and look different from one another, finding common ground in friendship and accomplishing big things. He adds, that's the spirit we've tried to inculcate. This guy thinks he's really smart using these big words. It's like, do you even know the meaning of them, though? Into every single comma and period in the show. That this aspiration would be offensive to people and enrage them, it's very hard for us to understand. It's like, no, just try to be faithful to the story that's already laid out for you instead of trying to make up your own shit within the lore. Well, see, they're just subverting the lore at this point. It's nothing like the lore. Because Galadriel wasn't this sword-toting badass that they're making her out to be in here. And she wasn't an insufferable bitch either. She was actually like, she was based kind of off the Mother Mary, you know, because she's this figure who inspires hope in others. She's this leader and this mistress of magic. That's actually what she's called, the Lady of Light, and she's just not any of that in this show. Like, she wouldn't have to wield a sword to destroy somebody. You've seen her do it in The Hobbit. She just waves her arm, and the orc is fucking obliterated. Like, that's the power of Galadriel. Even before she gets her ring of power, she has the power to destroy people and enter their minds. What are they protecting? I don't see how people are saying these things, think that they're fighting for good. There's a line in episode 7 where Galadriel says, "Every war is fought from without and within. Even if you're fighting for something you think is good, if you do something worse in that fight, then you become evil." I don't see how people who are saying these things think that they're fighting for good. It's patently evil. It's like, how do you even, like, get to that conclusion, man? First off, his assertion is a patent lie that he sugarcoats with his own fake platitudes in order to justify the horrific product he's created. Yeah, it's like they have no other way to defend this show. You can't say the writing is good. You can't even say the production is good. It's a lot of shiny things, a lot of slow-mo, and people using fake platitudes like the one that he just used. One only needs to look at how the first episode ends and Galadriel's rejection of the equivalent of heaven to realize the evil that lies underneath the Lord of the Rings of Power. Not only does she reject heaven, but a memory from her now dead brother telling her we cannot know which lights to follow until we have touched the darkness implies the heaven she rejects is actually evil. It's repulsive. Yeah, I cringed when she said that line about having to touch the darkness in order to find the light. That's not what the real Galadriel would say. Like, that's not what she would live her life by. It's like, no, you follow the light because it's the light. And as much as Disney has kind of ruined Star Wars, some good things have come out of it. Like, some writers have written some really good things. Like, there was I'm thinking of uh, Apprentice. It's a book. It's a book that recently came out the last couple of years with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. It's basically, Obi-Wan's apprenticeship under Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon tells him, I don't follow the light because it's easy or or the right uh I forget how he says it, but he just says, like, I follow the light because it's the light. It's the right thing to do. Payne's own director also admits the show does not embrace this idea of friendship. Wayne Che detailed that a scene in episode 5, Partings, specifically tried to show that Galadriel was entrapping and manipulating Halbrand to do her bidding. Yeah, and she does do that. Like, as much as I've seen, does come across that way, that she's just manipulating him to get what she wants. She manipulates him into going to Middle Earth with her, leaving Numenor, where he was happy and content actually in Numenor, just forging all day. But she convinces him, like, you're the heir to the throne in the Southlands. You need to come with me. But he didn't even want that. Which we all know this is really Sauron. Come on, let's not kid ourselves. All the lines he says, like, looks can be deceiving. Sauron the deceiver, right? And another time where he says, I have my own plans. The way he wistfully looks at the forge, wink, wink, nod, nod. What Aaron, my cinematographer, and I want. Oh, by the way, Sauron does become Lord of the Southlands. As we all know, the Southlands become Mordor. What Aaron, my cinematographer, and I wanted to do was create this sense of entrapment. The scene starts with Galadriel finding Halbrand at the end of a day in the blacksmith's, and she feels she has the upper hand because of information that she's found out about the mark that Halbrand wears around his neck. This is surely the spirit of Tolkien that Payne is talking about, right? So much friendship! Again, Payne is a liar. uh, even if we imagine that Payne isn't lying, he then tries to paint himself as the victim, as all Hollywood types are now inclined to do, especially when their blatant lies are called out for what they are. Yeah, I just recently watched the trailer for Velma, and Mindy Kaling immediately attacks the fans for, you know, criticizing them for daring to change anything about pre-established characters. Like, well, she uses the example of Judy, uh, shit, the Jetsons' wife. I think it's Judy. Changing her character at all, like, but she said, at least she's still white. It's like, no, that's not the point, bitch. The point is when you usurp something, a property or something, and like just insert your own politics into it, that's what turns people off. It's like changing things just to change things. Like, stop doing that. Just make your own shit. That's why we're mad. And that's why we're just like roasting you online. Even if we imagine that pain, yeah, isn't like. He's the one who's being oppressed by the people rightfully calling him out after he took a butcher's axe to Tolkien's legendarium, emptied the guts, then filled it with cheap plastic from China, and then proceeded to sell the now rotting and plastic-filled corpse as the real legendarium. Yeah, people are going to watch this and think, wait, is this really what the books are like? Like, oh, this is retarded. It's like, no. Actually go out and read the books. You'll get a way better experience than watching this crap. Like, don't even bother with this show. Yeah, exactly. People are protecting Tolkien's true work. That answer is pretty obvious. It's like people have been reading this for decades, like I said, so they know the lore, and when you try to subvert it like you've been doing, they're going to call you out on it. Like, you got to expect that. As an example, that's why critics, including this writer, routinely criticize the depiction of Galadriel as everything contrary to how Tolkien not only wrote her, but how he wrote about her in his numerous letters. Yeah, I've read the letters, and he would not be happy with this fucking show at all. Neither would his son. His son didn't even like the movies, by the way. First of all, they took out Tom Bombadil. I don't. Maybe that turned him off. I don't know exactly what problems he had with the movies, but I just know he didn't like them. But Tolkien talked about in his letters how he would not even want a single facet about one of his characters to be changed. This for sure would have sent him in a tizzy. Like, he's probably spinning in his fucking grave right now. Like Elon Musk said. Yep. Letter 131. The three main themes are thus the delaying elves that lingered in Middle-earth, Sauron's growth to a new lord, master and god of men, and Numenor, aka Atlantis. He based Numenor off of Atlantis. They are dealt with analytically, and in two tales or accounts, The Rings of Power and the Downfall of Numenor. Both are the essential background to The Hobbit and its sequel. He went on to elaborate. In the first, we see a sort of second fall, or at least error, of the elves. There was nothing wrong essentially in their lingering against councils, still sadly with the mortal lands of their old heroic deeds, but they wanted to have their cake without eating it. They wanted the peace and bliss and perfect memory of the West, and yet to remain on the ordinary earth, where their prestige as the highest people, above wild elves, dwarves, and men, was greater than at the bottom of the hierarchy of Valinor. Yeah, see, elves were kind of vain in that sense. Like, elves aren't perfect. We we know that from reading the books. Just like all other beings of Middle Earth, they aren't perfect. However, they are a higher form of being, at least in the on the plane of Middle Earth. Then, discussing the fall of Numenor, Tolkien details the downfall is partly the result of an inner weakness in men, consequent, if you will, upon the first fall, unrecorded in these tales. Repented but not finally healed, reward on earth is more dangerous for men than punishment. The fall is achieved by the cunning of Sauron in exploiting this weakness. Yeah, he becomes Anatar. That's the name he goes by when he seduces the leader of Numenor. Its central theme is inevitably, I think, in a story of men, a ban or prohibition. Yes, they had this ban on trying to, sail to Valinor, and they disregarded it, and the city was destroyed as a result. They broke the rules, and the city paid the price. That's what the theory is of Atlantis. Something like that happened. The most vile thing that Payne does is he tries to turn Tolkien's own writings against Tolkien's defenders and then proceeds to call the defenders patently evil. In letter 81 to Christopher, his son, Tolkien wrote, "You can't fight the enemy with his own ring without turning it into an enemy. but unfortunately Gandalf's wisdom seems long ago to have passed with him into the true West. Tolkien also discussed this theme of in letter 131 to Wilton Waldman when he wrote, "The enemy in successive forms is always naturally concerned with sheer domination, and so the Lord of Magic and machines. But the problem that this frightful evil can and does arise from an apparently good root, the desire to benefit the world and others, speedily and according to the benefactor's own plans, is a recurrent motive." Yeah, see, Amazon may think they're doing good, but they're actually regressing society by doing this kind of stuff. Like they're just pitting people against each other for stupid reasons over a stupid show that you probably could have made a good show if you had actually cared about this property in the first place. Instead, you just wanted to buy it and and think that people would just flock to it because it had the name Tolkien on it. That had the name Lord of the Rings on it. It's like, no, you gotta actually make a good product too. That's what fucking Peter Jackson understood when he made the movies. What critics of the Rings of Power are doing is not evil. Wanting this adaptation to be true to Tolkien's original works is not wrong. What is wrong, what is evil, is painting people who want an honest and true adaptation as patently evil. Yeah, you're just lumping them all into this label. As the Catechism of the Catholic Church says, truth or truthfulness is the virtue which consists in showing oneself true in deeds and truthful in words, and in guarding against duplicity, dissimulation, and hypocrisy. That's See, this is why we call out Disney and other corporations like them, because they say one thing and do another in our face, and they're not getting called out for it a lot of times. That's why we got to bring up things like remember when you shrunk Finn on the Star Wars poster for China? Remember when you did that? But you claimed to love black people, right? And remember when you filmed Mulan next to that concentration camp and then you thanked them in the credits? Remember that? Remember when you forgot? Well, I don't know if they forgot James Earl Jones' birthday, but they remembered everybody else from the Star Wars movies. It's a lot of little things and big things that come up that just get kind of swept under the rug. Payne has not shown himself true in his deeds or his words. He dissimulates every chance he gets and is clearly being duplicitous in his attack on Tolkien fans. Oh yeah, by the way, Disney loves black people except when they disagree with their politics. Like Letitia Wright, they wanted to oust her from that Black Panther movie because she was pro-choice when it came to vaccinations. So yeah, we'll let you we'll let you be the figurehead for our movies. We'll tote you out for the fans, show them that we're real diverse. Uh, Not diverse in the sake of in the not diverse like thought, not diversity of thought, but diversity of superficial diversity is what I'm trying to say. That's what they advocate for. Superficial diversity. Yeah, I need to ask you this too. What do you make of Payne and Prime Video doubling down on their attacks against Tolkien fans? Do you think this is justified? Have you seen bullying? Have you seen harassment? Have you seen any racist remarks? Any attacks against the shills? Anyone that claims to love this show for one reason or another? The only thing I really liked about it was the dwarves, and even that they're just like sprinkled in there. There's not a whole lot of that. Shit. Then we have another article. I don't know if I should even go into this. Oh God. Oh yeah, the review. Yeah, of course they're erasing reviews. We knew this was going. Amazon censoring reviews that the company disagreed with. Yep. You say anything they disagree with, it can just disappear. See, if somebody was just pointing this out the other day, if they got rid of the comment section on YouTube, YouTube would be dead. Like, and these sites are already like in the hole, a lot of them. So if you just took away the review option altogether, like people would never even go to your site. So what's the point of doing that? Do you want people to go to your sites or not? We all saw it coming. There were no surprises. Having insight into our global audience, we also have insight into the darker sides of how people can manipulate reviews and have other points of view that we wouldn't support. Oh no! Opinions you don't like. Oh no! Get off the internet if you if there are if if you don't want to see opinions you don't like. God damn. Oh yeah, this article title points out what he was just saying in that other article. She committed entrapment and pushes the character into darkness. So this show is trying to say like Galadriel turned Sauron evil? What? That's fucked up. And that's way different from the Legendarium. They're updating the review system on Prime Video with the premiere of the first. Yeah, they anticipated they get a lot of fucking bad reviews because this show fucking sucks. uh, my brother wanted to keep watching the show. I was like, nah, I'm not. You can. I'm not. Trolls and goblins. Oh my. 14% gave it 1 stars. 4.3 out of 5 stars with 80%. 80% of users gave it 5 stars. Oh shit. Oh, that's a league of their own. I was about to say 80% for this shit, man. Gotta be bought and paid for. Just these sites pay for bots, right? They bot farm to get a lot of good reviews. Five stars with 2 approved reviews for Rings of Power seems normal, right? Yep, they are just being disingenuous. Yep, like we've been pointing out. I'm not gonna go into the numbers. You can look these up if you want, but like it clearly points out how you know things have been a little sketchy when it comes to online reviews. Yep, fans deleted. So yeah, it's just another example of Hollywood being a little shitty, disingenuous, and they just hate their fans. It's like the fans are the ones who kept these properties going for so long, who have contributed to their success, who have made them what they are, and you want to win the fans' favor if you want your product to succeed. We saw that with the Sonic movie. The design, the first design for him was terrible, and like people pointed that out. Like they didn't attack the director or anything. They just pointed out that the design did not look like Sonic, right? And the studio allowed him to change it, and people went out to support the movie when it came out. It's not that hard to figure out. Like there's a formula to it. You make something people want, you make it good, and people will support it. People will love it. Even if something bombs at the box office, it might get a cult following later just because it's good. Like the Dread movie, like Blade Runner. There's a lot of examples of that. Yeah. But I could go on this diatribe for hours, but I'm gonna have to cut it off here because man, Rings of Power. I want to just put it behind me. This show is bad. I mean, maybe they could course correct later, or maybe remake it. I don't know. They probably won't. They're already committed to 5 seasons of this, and my prediction is it'll only get worse. But that's just my opinion. You can attack me in the comics if you want. I don't care. I'm on the internet, so I'm ready for criticism. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.